We're very excited to be talking with some marketplaces and wallets in this segment here. So we have Elizabeth from Xverse, Jamil from Gamma, John from NeoSwap, and Zed from Magic Eden. And the topic is, basically people are aping into Bitcoin, right? Like these are all builders. Some have been in stacks, some have not been in Bitcoin at all. And they're all building on Bitcoin layer 1 now. And, what's that experience been like for the past several months? Some of y'all have been doing this for years now. So without further ado, let's go around and just have each of you introduce yourself and describe a little bit about what your company does. So let's start with Elizabeth.
Sorry, just muting myself. Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Olson. I'm head of growth at Xverse, where we're building the most advanced and user-friendly wallet. Our founder, just a little bit about us, our founder, Ken Lau, started Xverse because generally the user experience for Bitcoin wallets was more optimized for engineers. And so with that said, we really wanted to unlock many functionalities as a non-custodial wallet. So not just payments, but also integrating many solutions like NFTs, DeFi, connecting to dApps, L2 scalability solutions like Stacks, and soon the Lightning Network. And of course, Ordinals. And then we also are currently working on the Sats API, and integrating many exciting partners. And I think most important to know is just we're a fully functional Bitcoin wallet offering similar user experience that you might find on other chains, being able to connect to dApps and sign trustless transactions, kind of like a MetaMask or a Phantom wallet on these other chains. We didn't have that on Bitcoin before, so we're really excited to be here. And you can kind of think of us like the Bitcoin super wallet, offering the ecosystem in one place.
Awesome, thank you, Elizabeth. Yeah, Jamil, you want to go?
Yeah, so I'm Jamil, the founder and CEO of Gamma. We've been working in Bitcoin for a little while now, of 18 months, basically building with this thesis that people aren't paying enough attention to Bitcoin NFTs and Bitcoin digital assets. So we've spent the past 18 months building on both L1 and L2 creator tooling, marketplace, and API infrastructure to basically enable that future of Bitcoin digital assets. So we worked on a Stacks marketplace, first, where we came and became the top marketplace in the Stacks ecosystem, the top creator tools, and then moved into the Ordinals ecosystem, doing one of the first inscription services where you can drag and drop images and inscribe them directly onto Bitcoin, as well as a launchpad where creators can just drag and drop a bunch of images, launch their collections, and allow users to inscribe, their collectors to inscribe. We've had tens of thousands of inscriptions in just a few days with just this drag and drop interface. And then most recently, we've also launched the secondary marketplace where you can trade these inscriptions on secondary, as well as Dutch auctions, which we saw with Bitcoin Magazine this past weekend, in a trustless PSBT based way. So it's been an incredible experience working and building on Bitcoin. And we also excited to announce that we've also partnered with Xverse on Bitcoin Miami. We're going to have a great Ordinals exhibition there. So looking forward to both the future of Ordinals and everything we can do together.
Very exciting. Thank you, Jamil. John.
Yeah, well, I'm John S., CEO of NeoSwap, and we are an AI-powered multi-line trade finding engine. That's really what we have. So, we are this AI layer that sits in between the application layer and the blockchain layer. And what we're interested in is predicting how much people are interested in individual items, and then discovering multi-way trades that help commerce to happen in low liquidity environments. So we have a front end because we have to figure out the UX for this. In the long run, we really plan to be more B2B. But we're doing smart swaps where a group of people get together and they can trade NFTs amongst themselves, and you'll find trades that you could never find, and you can get commerce to happen with a lot less liquidity than you would otherwise need. There's smart auctions. Those have been very popular. We're doing smart auctions of ordinals for Ethereum, for Solana, for Polygon, for Stacks. We'll be doing smart auctions of ordinals for Bitcoin by the Ordinals conference, and actually we're going to be collaborating with Gamma, and it looks like also Xverse, on an event there where people will be able to bid in real time at Ordinals at the Ordinals conference. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then we also, like, our latest product and the real product is the AI powered trades, where you connect your wallet. We do an analysis of what's in your wallet, how much we think you're going to like different items in the ecosystem when we propose trades to you. And so you connect wallet, you get 3 trade choices or none of the above, and you can pick one. Yeah, and that's actually been quite popular as well. So it's kind of, we believe that Web3 makes a new type of commerce possible, and that's what we've been doing. We started on Stacks, and that meant when Ordinals happened, we were well positioned to start conducting trades on Ordinals. We've been doing them because everything was built around smart contracts for smart contract currency, but in the next few weeks, we'll be fully live on Bitcoin.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Yeah, go for it, Zed.
Yo, appreciate it. Super excited to be here. Very fired up to hear about what everyone's working on. I think it's really, really cool. So I'm co-founder of Magic Eden. Yeah, I think Ordinals has been amazing because it's not only just super cool to see like all of this new innovation on Bitcoin, but also even just personally, I feel like it's kind of the combination of all the things that I really love working on. Like my background, I was a PM at Coinbase. I spent a lot of time building trading products there, and was the second employee at DYDX. So it was early in the Ethereum DeFi ecosystem, and then started Magic Eden about 18 months ago. We were one of the earlier marketplaces on Solana, and became the leading one. And we're now on Polygon, Ethereum, and obviously now Ordinals. So I think for us, like we've always believed in a very strongly and actually a cross-chain thesis in terms of what people should experience, and that could be very different across the different chains. So we're actually most excited about obviously working with the ecosystem on innovation, open source projects. We have some stuff hopefully coming out soon that, yeah, will hopefully just be a benefit for everyone. We're also really excited to bring a lot of the users and creators that we have already been working with on some of these other chains. Hundreds of thousands of users. We've had over $3 billion trade on Magic Eden in 18 months, over 20,000 creators. So we're very excited to bring Ordinals to all of those people. So there's a huge opportunity, and I'm excited to do that with everyone here.
Awesome. It's all very exciting. I'm curious, lots of you have already been building on Bitcoin. So maybe this question will be more geared towards what's it like building on an L1 versus an L2? But maybe for you, Zed, it will be like, what's it like building on other chains versus coming over to Bitcoin? So yeah, I'm curious, how's that experience been? Like, Bitcoin is its own thing. How were the challenges you faced? How are your experiences been? Moving to L1, versus your L2s, working with other chains, and then coming to Bitcoin as well. Let's start with Elizabeth.
Sure. Yeah, I have to say we've been dedicated to building on Bitcoin at Xverse and Bitcoin layers, so I can't speak to other chains, but happy to lend perspective on Bitcoin specifically. So of course, we're here for the value. We're here because we have the conviction to build on what is the strongest and most secure settlement layer. So that's why we focus on Bitcoin. Apologize for the New York City noise. But then I would say that building on Bitcoin does have its unique challenges. One is the speed of the block settling. Some people would say that this actually lends more value to Bitcoin because of how slow it is, but I don't really follow that because I see that time is money. So and then we also have L1 drawbacks in regards to the smart contract capabilities that are necessary for DeFi and NFTs. So then we go looking for scalability opportunities with L2 solutions, and then we counter another challenge here in regards to the cultural pushback. I would say that there's a purist mentality that Bitcoin should only be used as a sound money layer. And while we also believe in that, there's also those who push back in regards to privacy and decentralization maximalists. And this is much more compared to other chains. But the fact is that we've always been able to put data on Bitcoin. It's just been in a more limited way. But now Ordinals are making that much easier and shifting the cultural movement towards being able to build on Bitcoin and have these other capabilities. So personally, I'm really excited about this. I believe that Ordinals are shifting the narrative, bringing a new wave of builders back to the ecosystem and lending integrity to those who are already there building. And I think it's also important to remember that making Bitcoin productive is actually a win-win solution for everyone. It's a win for incentivizing the miners, and it's a win for those who are here building and the users. So I think this is a really exciting moment to be here building.
Very much agreed. The more you can do on Bitcoin, like the more demand this drives for the core Bitcoin currency. So even if you are one of the purists who, doesn't necessarily like that we're doing all of this fun stuff on top of Bitcoin, it still drives value back to you at the end of the day, right? Demand for block space is probably pretty arguably a very good thing. Yeah, Jamil, same question for you.
Yeah, we started on Stacks, and Stacks uses, which is an L2 for Bitcoin, or Bitcoin layer. And Stacks uses many of the same patterns that you would see on Ethereum or Solana. You have this, account-based pattern, you have smart contracts. And basically, when you think of an idea, you generally can get it done. It's like any coder can sort of think through the problem. If you have some background in smart contract experience, you can know how you do something like collection bids, how you do auctions, how you do basically anything. As long as you're familiar with the blockchain programming patterns, you can generally figure out how to get it done. Of course, you need audits, you need that whole process. But working on a smart contract platform, it's pretty clear how you go from idea to implementation. One of the interesting things about Bitcoin was just seeing how working directly on L1, how different the UTXO model really is. That's sort of how I started in crypto, was with Bitcoin, with learning about Bitcoin script and the UTXO model. But coming back and building an actual application on top of that model, coupled with ordinal theory, was an incredibly enlightening experience. And I think it also showed how much more flexibility there is in the UTXO model than I think most people had assumed. There are things like sig hash types, which allow you to specify, I'll commit to this output given this input, which allows for an incredibly simple way of specifying, agreeing to a trade, basically. So it's basically like a completely different programming pattern than what you'd see on Ethereum, Solana, or Stacks. But it's elegant in its own way, even despite its limitations. And I think it's opened up the eyes to a lot of builders in the space on just how much you can do directly on L1. I think it's only the beginning. You've seen tools like, you've seen a sort of catalyzation of an incredible amount of tools and infrastructure being built on Bitcoin. You see Xverse, you see NeoSwap, you see others building tools and infrastructure and fundamental building blocks such that other applications can start building on top and building new applications without having to worry about the lower level abstractions. So yeah, it was a challenge to come from that smart contract model to the UTXO PSBT model, but I think people are learning that there's so much you can do, and this is just the beginning. Just after like less than 3 months of active development on Bitcoin, you wouldn't be able to see any documentation on how to use PSBTs and construct them with the right sig hash types before. We sort of all just had to figure that out ourselves. Likely the same with Magic Eden. We're all just pushing the boundaries of what we can do on L1. So yeah, excited to see how the space develops further.
Yeah, I love the analogy of the building blocks. Like the amount of building blocks that, if you're building infrastructure on Bitcoin, layer one a couple of months ago, I mean, in the past 2 or 3 months, like there's probably been 100 building blocks get put in place. And, I think we can discuss that more in a little bit here. But yeah, John, I'd love to hear, you guys, this whole ordinal thing happened and, you guys wanted to support ordinals. Like, can you explain how that experience has been? What's it like integrating with Bitcoin layer one?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a challenge for us at the beginning because everything we were doing was kind of built around smart contracts. And I would say one of the big kind of ahas I've had recently is that actually a lot of what we're doing is easier to do on Bitcoin. But just like, right, you think of a blockchain as a database that's specialized for ownership and the transfer of ownership, right? It's not just a generic database, it's a specialized database. Bitcoin, the Bitcoin tools are specialized for permissionless or trust minimal commerce, right? So actually the Bitcoin tools are better suited to the sort of things we're doing at NeoSwap. That's been a surprise to me that at the beginning I thought, I know, how are we going to rework everything? Well, it turns out with PSBTs and DLCs, we can do pretty much whatever we need to do. So that has been good. At the beginning, we basically had a bunch of hacks, right? At the beginning, we found out about Ordinals on Monday. We did our first smart auction of Ordinals 4 stacks on Friday. At the beginning, it was very trusted. And then it just gradually became, we had solutions that allowed us to minimize the amount of trust involved. And then I think finally, in the next few weeks, we will be able to do smart auctions of Ordinals using PSBTs, and it'll be pretty well trust minimized. We're also going to open source our smart auction solver technology, so that, because that's a weak point right now, is that this auction would happen, the auction's happening off chain, people might complain and say, well, how do we know this is really fair? We're going to go ahead and open source that code so that people can go ahead and at least don't trust verify, kind of consistent with the Bitcoin ethos. So I think that's the big aha for me, is that Bitcoin is actually ideally suited for permissionless reassignment of ownership, and these tools, once you get used to them, are quite pure and beautiful.
All right, you heard it here. It's easier on Bitcoin. No,
Well, I don't know about easier. Once you get used to it. Yeah. And I'm not the CTO. I don't have to do it. It's easy for me to that.
I love that. Yeah, Zed. So you guys, famously are like the Solana marketplace, right? And you recently, integrated with Polygon, Ethereum, but now Bitcoin. I'm curious, like compared to, saying, hey, like we want to be cross-chain with Polygon and Ethereum versus the implementation with Bitcoin, what were the major learnings there?
Yeah, I'm going to caveat everything by saying I'm like John. I'm not the CTO, so I'm probably going to say some stuff, and my CTO is just going to throw up. But no, I actually think for us, we've had a bunch of experience having to tackle a lot of this different infrastructure. I mean, we started on Solana in 21, right? And 21, basically, it feels really similar. Like nothing was really built. I remember at the time when we first started Magic Eden, people were finding other people on Discord and paying them, tens of thousands of dollars to do a mint. Like that was the kind of environment that it feels crazy to say that now, because like there's so much that's been built in the last 18 months, but that actually literally was happening. That's actually why we wanted to, we built Launchpad in September of 21 back then, because we were like, yo, that's actually insane that people are doing that. It sort of goes to show like the length that people will go to do something, right? In which case it's clear you need to build something. So when we started poking around Ordinals, we had a very, very similar vibe, right? Already people were trying to trade OTC, and people were trying to come up with marketplace implementations. But I would echo kind of what Jamil said, that a lot of our team, even though we didn't have a lot of experience building on L1, the team found it very elegant. Like a lot of the things actually made a lot of sense. It is like a little bit of a mental model shift, because it didn't fit in the same framework as like building smart contracts on either Rust or Solidity. But yeah, a lot of the infrastructure, it's just early. So even little things like, I think when we launched, like we had to wait like 2 or 3 days to get Xverse to support PSBT signing as well. Just like, it was crazy. I was like, whoa, it's so ridiculous how early it is. But these are very normal, I think, growing pains and early opportunities in a early ecosystem. So for us, like the way we think about it is when we kind of go into a new chain or new opportunity like this, we usually just put together a team that's just dedicated and they get deep in the actual tech. And for us, we had 2 engineers who basically took what was there currently with Ordinals and put together basically like 80% of the marketplace. And then we did like a hackathon for our eng team where we flew like 20 people into the Bay Area, and then we kind of got the marketplace over the finish line. And that's sort of how we came to market. But it is technically different, but I think very, very elegant at the same time. And ultimately you can see that the experiences now on marketplaces, even though it's still early, it's not actually too different, right? You can do most of the things, at least the baseline things that you would expect from any other marketplaces on other chains. Transactions are definitely slower, so there's some like UX stuff you have to think about, but in general, all the basic things are already there. So now I think the most important thing from like a building standpoint is what's the stuff that really opens up the ecosystem. Like we think about like, on Solana, there was a bunch of stuff that the step change stuff was like, how do you open up minting? right? Like, how do you make that really easy to go from like something that was very, very developer oriented and very, very like challenging to something that was much more repeatable? And we're starting to, I think, get to that point now with Ordinals too. You know, how do you get to like, yeah, more collections, more creators who come on, easier for them to onboard and understand what's going on? Like, that's the stuff that we're really excited to work on.
Right. That's actually a great transition here, Zed, just to like what you're most excited about. I'm curious, like, if you want to reveal anything on your roadmaps, guys, like feel free, but also just generally on Stacks, L1, Lightning, anything, like what is getting you guys excited about building? You know, are there any just interesting, you know, cool things that are on your radar that they're maybe very early, but that you're keeping a close eye on? Maybe we'll throw it back to you, Elizabeth.
Myself. What excites me? I mean, so many things. I think generally more utility means more value, right? We have not only a safe place to store our wealth, but also to store our data. And Ordinals have shown that people want to do more than just hold Bitcoin. So there's a new demand for the Bitcoin blockchain. Of course, we need the infrastructure and L2 scalability solutions, but those are being worked on. But essentially what we're seeing here is an incredible flywheel effect. We're seeing brands, builders, institutions, creators bring more value, come to Bitcoin. This is creating more value. And then we're seeing more investors, more talent. And then this, of course, creates more adoption. And this just continues to snowball as the time goes. So we're even seeing luxury brands like Bugatti come to Ordinals and leverage digital Ordinals, digital NFTs, which are positioned to become the first blue chip NFTs on Bitcoin. I mean, it's incredibly exciting. And we're even seeing more mainstream brands come to Bitcoin now, who I think were perhaps hesitant before, but now they're seeing Bitcoin in a new light. And this is the first blockchain they're choosing to adopt. So crypto is going corporate thanks to these new innovations. And I have to say, we also experienced this firsthand at Xverse. We saw exponential growth thanks to Ordinals, and then also last month became the #1 startup at Paris Blockchain Week's competition. That was out of 700 startups. So yeah, it's a really exciting time. It's a win for Xverse, but also it's a win for everybody that's building on Bitcoin right now.
Wow, yeah, I saw that. Congrats. That's like a pretty impressive that y'all were able to take the cake there. So yeah, Jamil, same question to you. Like, what is on your radar is like being exciting to get people listening like excited about Bitcoin?
Yeah, I think sort of to one of the points I mentioned earlier, I think early on in an ecosystem, you see everybody try to like vertically integrate and do everything, right? From the wallet to the marketplace to, you know, just try and do everything in one place. And now what you're seeing, I think for the first time in a long time in Bitcoin, is basically an explosion of ecosystem applications that all fit together like a jigsaw puzzle, right? Like, for example, I think everyone on this panel, Magic Eden, Xverse, NeoSwap, Gamma, sort of all come together to you know, integrate with each other, to work with each other in a way that builds the whole ecosystem. So for example, with NeoSwap, we're doing like these smart launches that you know, seamlessly integrate, you know, with both Gamma and NeoSwap. With Xverse, you know, Xverse integrates with both Magic Eden and Gamma as a wallet to provide you know, signing for listings and for purchases. And so for the first time, you're really seeing an entire like economy and ecosystem of Bitcoin applications. Like even just thinking about Xverse, for example, right? Like for over 10 years of Bitcoin development, there wasn't a web wallet that could like take a PSVT from an application, sign it, and then return it to the application. That's like table stakes on any other blockchain, whether it's, you know, Solana, Ethereum, or wherever else. And even if you hate Ordinals, even if you don't care about NFTs or JPEGs, this is the best thing that could happen to Bitcoin, enabling these fundamental infrastructural layers and fundamental tooling that will allow anybody to build applications, tools, you know, whether it's on NFTs, whether it's in the future on DeFi, So I can't wait to see what people do with these tools and this infrastructure that's being built because of Ordinals. I think we're at the beginning of a Bitcoin renaissance, and all the pieces are in place. I can't predict how that will evolve, but I just know that I'm excited to see what people will do with it.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better. I think the reality is like Bitcoin kind of fell behind a little bit for a while. Like the user experience on these other chains of, you know, having this wallet that you just connect seamlessly to sign into different dApps, you know, that's the experience that users want. We've kind of seen clear product market fit, and, you know, now everybody can, you know, start their own dApp on Bitcoin, and they don't necessarily need to create a wallet. You can just connect to Elizabeth's wallet, right? So this is all like very important infrastructure. And I very much agree that new people coming into the space are probably not going to have as many of the hurdles that you guys have had to overcome over the past like few months and years. Hopefully it's just going to be much more seamless where, you know, somebody can hack something together overnight and launch on Bitcoin and not have this like litany of problems to have to solve. And you guys, you guys are helping make that happen and building that ecosystem up. John, we've got like 1 minute here. Do you want to try to answer that?
Sure. And then I'll try to save some time for Zed too. So, yeah, the fully circular Bitcoin economy, especially a smart economy, one that's powered by AI, that's really interesting to me. You know, I think that maxis for so long have been focused on money, right? But an economy has assets as well. And now with ordinals, you have digital assets and you have money, and they're all moving around. It can flow around very beautifully, actually, in this fully distributed way. So I think that we finally have a use case for Bitcoin that's going to encourage people to buy Bitcoin and spend it, versus just hodling it and waiting for some Mad Max scenario where like everything, so civilization blows up and then Bitcoin's worth a lot. I think if you want to have a gradual transition to Bitcoin, this is a much healthier way to do it. So I'm very excited about this circular smart economy on Bitcoin that Ordinals enables.
Love it. Thank you, John. Zed, lightning round. Favorite things that are coming on Bitcoin?
Collection provenance. Pretty excited about that. So the idea of like what defines actually a collection. I think that's actually a really important standard that is missing today. I think some open source way of making it easier for people to create drops, like without necessarily like a very, very complicated developer experience. I think at Magic Eden, we basically work on two things. Like we don't try and do too much here. It's basically create the best trading experience and then create the best creator experience. And creator can encompass anything from inscription and minting, like community stuff, all of that. So all of that, I think, is just stuff we will build for any chain. And we want to basically bring that across and help creators be successful in Ordinals. I think the last piece that's non-technical is I think we should help tell the story that, like higher value items should belong here. Because this is in some ways, it is the most decentralized, purest chain. You know, block space is very unique compared to other chains. All of those things lend themselves really well to certain types of assets being on Ordinals. And I think we want to help tell that story and help bring in more creators to do that. So those are the things that we're focused on.
Awesome. I love it. This has been really inspiring, guys. We've got a wrap here. I think we're going to go to a break, but this has been really fun.